Hi, I'm Joe from Segway of Pacific Beach, and in this video I'm going to do a little comparison for you of the Segway PT i2 SE and the Segway PT i2, which is the outgoing model of a personal transporter. The SE on the newer version stands for second edition, and I'll show you a few of the differences. The primary specifications for the new PT SE model are unchanged from the outgoing model. The top speed is 12.5 miles per hour. The range is still 16 to 24 miles on a charge. And the i2 SE weighs in at 105 pounds, which is also unchanged. The X2 SE weighs 120 pounds. The i2 or the X2 SE models are actually available in the black color that you just saw. Or you can also get them in a camouflage pattern by Mossy Oak called Breakup Infinity, which, believe it or not, is applied robotically to the parts of the Segway for a precise fit. On the Segway PT i2, the upper lean steer frame is actually unchanged from the previous version of the Segway, the i2. So the SE model uses the same upper lean steer frame, but one of the most significant changes on the new model is that at the base of the lean steer frame, this attaches in a much easier way than the prior model did. It uses two 5mm hex bolts here. All you have to do is bolt it right on, and if you want to remove it, you can just undo these screws and it comes right off, right from this part here. So this part stays attached to the Segway. Now, the prior model, and you can see it over here, you could also remove the lean steer frame, but you had to remove a single bolt from here, and it's just a little trickier to get that one to line up when you reinstall it. So the newer version, the SE, makes it easier to do that. Now, the Segway PT will still fit only in the largest of car, like sedan trunks. But it'll still fit easily into any SUV or pickup truck or even most hatchbacks as well. The i2 SE model has a redesigned electronics console. They've actually lowered the profile of the console to give you a little added safety and comfort and a little ease of getting on and off the PT as well. The outgoing PT model here, you'll see that the console is raised up. It's a little bit higher profile. As you'll see in a moment, the lights are pretty much unchanged. On the SE model, you've still got the indicator, the balance indicator there. It's showing us that it's in standby mode, and if we tap a foot on there, it's going to show us balance mode, just like the original models did. On the i2 model, the outgoing version, the charge port cover you flip open with your finger and you can plug the Segway in right here. Now, the SE model of the machine here, they've redesigned that charge port cover, so I'm going to turn this off. And when I go to open the port cover, I just reach down and pull this open with my hand. They've recessed the port cover a little bit so that it's just less susceptible to damage from the rigors of travel, and made the port cover itself a little beefier too, so I think it'll hold up better. Now I'll actually plug it in for you if I can find a power cord. Oh, I've got one right in my pocket here. And we'll just plug this in. When this is plugged in, you're going to see the charge lights come on. The fact that they're solid is showing you that the Segway is actually charging right now. Now, if they're blinking, that means that the Segway is fully charged. And if I keep rubbing my feet on the carpet really fast, it's just going to keep charging the way it is. Another difference between the i2 SE and the outgoing i2 model is the lighting that's built on to the machine. So I'll show you that. I'll just put this cord back in my pocket and close up that charge port cover. Now when I turn on this i2 SE model with the power button here, you'll notice a light up in the front of the Segway there. And then also in the back of the PT, you'll see another light. Now, these lights aren't meant to see at night. The headlight here isn't bright enough for you to see by. It's just to help other people see you and a little added safety. But you can get headlights, of course, that would mount up here that are super bright and will help you see where you're going at night. I am often asked how the Segway personal transporter works, and I thought this would be a good video in which to explain that in some detail. Okay, so to go forward is designed to ride on a variety of bumpy, steep, or otherwise ugly terrain. In fact, the PT's computers don't just keep you upright, they also control the motors to keep you pointed straight ahead until you tell the personal transporter to turn. When you hit a bump under one wheel but not the other, the computers tell one of the motors to go faster to hurry that side of the machine over the bump so that the rider stays pointed straight ahead. The sensors themselves are often called gyroscopes, but the Segway PT's sensors are a more modern version called angular rate sensors that don't actually spin like a gyroscope does. There are 5 of these sensors, and they detect even tiny changes in the angle of the PT, enabling the computers and motors to balance you. Ever since the original first generation personal transporters came out, safety has been a top priority. The way the engineers at Segway Inc. achieved that is pretty impressive. Parts for the PT come from many different places, but the final product is built in New Hampshire, where Segway Inc. is based, so quality can be controlled. Each component of the machine required for balancing has a backup in case of a failure. In the event of a failure, the PT brings the rider to a stop and does what Segway calls an emergency shutdown, alerting the rider that it's no longer safe to ride. If you hear the beeping that you just heard and you feel lots of shaking in your hands, that's actually a stick shaker that the Segway uses to alert the rider that there's something wrong. All you have to do is lean back to stop yourself and step straight down off the PT. So for example, any 2 of the 5 balance sensors in the PT could fail at the same time even, and it won't just tip over because of the failure. It'll do the emergency shutdown, which lasts for about 10 seconds, and if the rider is still on the machine after the 10 seconds are up, it will actually fall down with you on it. In fact, we have a phrase to describe if you're really curious, what happens after the whole 10 seconds are over and you're still on the machine. We call that natural selection. So another example of redundancy on the PT is in the motors. There's one motor for each wheel, so you might ask, well, how can the machine keep the rider safe if the motor fails? Well, it actually can, believe it or not. And in fact, I'll have to show you the motor for that. Here, I can pull a motor out here for you so you can see it. I gotta pull kind of hard though. There we go. Got that out of there. You can't really do that. I just had it sitting there. It's all sealed up nice and tight inside. And I'll explain how this works to you. This is the Segway PT's 1500 watt brushless servo motor. Now, most electric brushless motors have 3 main power wires that go into them. This one, you'll notice, has 6 wires, and that's where the redundancy comes in. There are actually 2 electrically separate sets of windings inside of each motor. Now, they normally share the load, but if one of the sets of windings either shorts out or opens up or fails in some other way, the other winding takes the load and takes over and keeps you from falling while the Segway performs the emergency shutdown. These machines are really designed to go the distance. Brushless motors are important for reliability, but check out this other example. These are called rider detect buttons. They're used by the computers to determine whether the rider is standing on the Segway and whether or not the rider is standing stably on both feet. Now, this machine has to be reliable enough for a police fleet. And mechanical switches are just prone to wearing out over time. The little contacts just don't do their job after a while. So to prevent those kinds of mechanical failures, the engineers at Segway actually designed these buttons to simply be connected to black pieces of plastic inside the machine here. And what happens is when the button is pressed down, the black piece of plastic goes down and interrupts a beam of light on the main computer board, causing the PT to know that this button is being pressed. That eliminates the need for mechanical switches. Underneath this plastic plate is the Segway PT's gearbox. And this is the inside of the Segway PT's gearbox. Notice the helically cut teeth and the very large ball bearings here. This is a finger for scale. It looks more like something that you'd see in a motorcycle transmission rather than a 105-pound vehicle. Where quality and reliability are concerned, the proof is in the pudding. In our fleet of Segway personal transporters, we have several machines with well over 10,000 miles on them, still going strong, motors, gearboxes, and all.
Segway of Pacific Beach has been in business since 2004. We do Segway PT rentals, tours, sales, and service here in San Diego. If you're ever in the area, please stop by. It's always free to try a Segway PT in the store, but fair warning, if you try it, you're going to want to take a ride outside.